Good evening, campers, and welcome to the Shipyards. I'm Commander Exorcist, and today we're going to be talking about Vertical Slice 1.2 for Space Engineers 2, which was released this past Monday afternoon during a live stream segment that Keen Software House held, talking about the update, what's coming in this update, as well as what we can expect in the near future. It's talking a lot about modding and water and planetary stuff, survival, all the things that we're really waiting on in this game. This is the stuff they're talking about, which is great considering how early this game is released, and it's really something to see how fast that it's being updated. And so in this video, we're going to go through, I'm going to talk at first about some notes that I took during the live stream, some impressions that I have about Keen, and specifically how Merrick Rosa and the team are kind of approaching this development. And then I'm going to pretty much go through the changelog and show you the different things that they added in VS 1.2. Before we get started, if you enjoy the kind of content that I create on this channel, do the YouTube stuff, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me about your most anticipated feature in Space Engineers 2. Let's get to it, and let's talk a little bit in the beginning here about some impressions. These are not from the logs. These are things that were presented to us on the live stream as part of the interview with Merrick during the beginning. And so I kind of want to highlight a few things. They are doing weekly updates, as you've seen. We got conveyors. We also got some ladders and some other things that have been coming down the pike recently. And they're going to continue to do that. So on Thursdays, we're going to get new blocks, which is great, because every Thursday we can expect something new to play with. And I'm really impressed with the transparency and openness with this development cycle, because they're very specific in saying, we want to get this stuff out to you now. We want to keep feeding the community this new content because they want to generate interest in the game. I want to generate interest in the game. That's why I'm doing videos on it. I love this series, and I want to make sure that, as many people as they can get an opportunity to play this game, or at least get to see how it's going. And if it's something they're interested in, it's cool to be able to get people to join in. And so they've got a lot of assets that are pretty much done, and they've been playing with them internally. And instead of sitting on them for years and years and just kind of playing with them internally, they want to get these out to the community. And that can help kind of get, that proper feedback from the modding community, from the builders, from the destructors, whoever's out there and whatever they're doing. They did say that the weekly updates, they're not going to include new features, so we shouldn't expect a new vertical slice every week. We're not expecting that. That's pretty obvious. But it is cool that we're going to get something every Thursday with the game. So it's kind of a pulse check. So we don't have to wonder, well, it's been 2-3 weeks. We haven't heard anything from Keen. Is this still going on? So it'll be nice to be able to get that kind of update. They did talk about, well, actually, let's go back. So weekly planned updates. Merrick said that they've got it for months. So they've already got kind of what they're doing for the next few months. And so you'll have the weekly block updates, and then occasionally you'll have like a proper vertical slice update, kind of like what we had here, whenever we get to, say, modding, planetary bodies, survival, and the like. And speaking of survival, they did mention that the survival mode, when it does arrive, that what we get is most likely not what's going to stay in the game, or not. It'll take on different forms as they progress in development. And the key to that is putting survival in the game as kind of a foundation. So it's the foundation of survival mode. Probably some basic mechanics, crafting and oxygen and those kind of things. But I would look for some refinements over time, possibly some ways to take advantage of foliage and maybe flora, fauna, minerals, and whatever else. They didn't say any of that, but it makes me wonder if they're looking into finding ways to kind of extrapolate and get us to take more advantage of the environment around us. Not just the minerals in the ground, but maybe the trees, and there's some other stuff that we could probably work to craft. So whatever we get for survival, it's still an opportunity for the community to provide that feedback to Keen. Say, hey, we would like something different than what this is, and we'll have a chance to mold that. Their vision for this project for Space Engineers 2, the alpha, is to share the game with the community as quick as possible. Like I said with the blocks and the weekly share and the weekly updates, they want us to be part of this journey. Like they've been, it's like they've been working on this game for a while, and from reading kind of Merrick's reactions and his answers to the interviews and everything, there's a lot of this game that's probably done. There's a lot of this game, let me say that again, that is probably already done. But it's one thing to play a game or to test a product internally in a small group. Because 100 people, 200 people is a small group regardless for something like this. You've got to get it out there and test it at scale. And that is what this is about. And so their intention is not to build this massive thing, throw it out to the community, and have it not work. You throw it out a bit at a time, and you let the community help guide you. The community's not necessarily in charge. We don't get the final say, but we do get input on how things go. If we get a set of blocks, or if we get a feature or a function, which we've already received a few that got pretty heavy pushback from the community on, and not even anything controversial, just, hey, this doesn't work, or this doesn't work. And as the Space Engineers community, you can say, hey, this is why it doesn't work, break it down, and then it's gone, like the quick start option on the home screen and stuff like that. So, you know, there's little things that we can do to kind of change things around and make it better as we go along. I thought it was interesting. They did say on the live stream, the community manager said that the vertical slice release schedule isn't set in stone. So we did get a roadmap. And it is cool because the roadmap kind of told us how things are being structured and how they want, you know, like A, B, C. This is the vertical slice we want to release here, and we want to do that. But that is all subject to change. And it wasn't even, and I think Merrick mentioned it at one point about sometimes people leave the company, things change, and you got to maybe pull back for a second, either retrain somebody or divert assets here and there to get things done, which is normal for any industry. Forget the video game industry. It's normal for any industry. But when you look at it to say, if the community advocates hard enough for particular features, those might be readjusted in terms of their priority. So that's kind of neat, actually, to see that level of trust and that level of attention is being given to the community as far as the development of the game. So really, really excited about that. And you got to be careful, though, because with crowdsourcing stuff like this, everyone's got an opinion. They asked in the live stream, you know, what's the main feature you're looking for? Most of the answers were survival and multiplayer. You probably will find a good balance between the two. Well, who gets to go first, survival or multiplayer? In my opinion, you shouldn't have multiplayer without something to do in multiplayer. So survival is a good opportunity, but there's people that will disagree with me. And so that's one of those things. It's like, well, who wins? They got to look at it from the whole perspective. Okay, well, this is what the community wants, but this is what's most closely finished. What can we do? Is there a way to move things around as far as the release schedule? So that's something that, you know, they got to look at. Very excited about that. Vertical Slice 1.2 is available as of 14 April. So that was on Monday afternoon. They actually released it during the live stream. So Merrick said, hey, go. And then a few minutes later, it showed up on Steam, and we were able to get into it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over the changelog. This is a changelog that was published on Keen's website along with the release of Vertical Slice 1.2. So if you have it on Steam and you've already in it, you've probably seen a lot of these things, but I'm going to kind of go over them very quickly for those of you that may not have gone through the whole changelog and be aware of everything. I'll probably loop some footage over top of this as I'm going along, but I am going to just kind of talk about everything on the list, but I'm going to highlight some of the key features that I think are very interesting and very exciting because there's a few cool things. This is a cool update. It really is. So it's a cool update, and I didn't get everything I wanted. As a matter of fact, I didn't get a few things I wanted, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and let's take a look. So the biggest thing we got, one big thing we got, which was kind of a surprise, and it's a little interesting, is target-based grid control, which is an updated and improved ship control. So now there is an indicator on the HUD that shows you what direction your ship is traveling or turning. And so the intention was for them to help us gain a greater control over our ships, whether they're large or small, because it can be a little cumbersome at times with your mouse, like trying to move things. It's one of the reasons in Space Engineers 1 I prefer to use a controller, because I feel like I have better maneuverability with ships using a controller than I do with a mouse, unless I stick like 40 gyros on it or something and just go with it. The paint gun now has an undo and a redo, and also the paint gun has, it changes color. So it actually looks like it's loaded with the paint color that you're using. I'm still torn on the paint gun. I like the concept of the paint gun, but I also would like the opportunity to be able to paint the old school way with, you know, sticking a block up against another and pushing my mouse button, because sometimes I'll accidentally delete a block or something, and it's nice to just be able to repaint and drop everything down or quickly switch between colors. And so they say that a lot of the color stuff is already done and they're testing it internally. For me, that is a big part of building things, is being able to color it. There's not even purple. Like, there's no purple in the wheel. So at least give me an RGB slider. That's kind of all I would like to have at this point. They got some improved visuals for copy and pasting. Jetpack 2.0. So I didn't read the Jetpack 2.0 part. I think I don't know if I spaced it or what. And when I got into the game and I pushed forward and to boost, and it starts shaking, like the screen starts shaking, and your jetpack lights up orange, like you actually have a turbo booster on this thing. So the Jetpack 2.0 is really cool. It does have a charge time, and there is a camera shake. At first I thought it was a glitch, but it's actually a feature. It's interesting, of the jetpack now. So that's kind of cool. The off-center third-person camera. Oh my god, this is probably the best feature of the whole thing. When you're in third person, if you push Alt-V while you're in third person, your engineer will slide to the side, and you can see what you're doing. See, I love to play in third person, and one of my biggest complaints about that is not being able to see what I do. So I kind of go into third person, I look around, and they mentioned this on the live stream, that a lot of engineers do this, is we go in and we'll build something, and then we go and we look in third person, and then we switch back to first person and go over and take a look at what we're building. So hopefully, there'll be a lot more opportunities for third person work now that I could switch my camera to the side. Scrolling through the toolbars is a really cool feature. I didn't understand exactly what that was until he showed it. But where you have to push like Control 1, 2, 3 to switch through the different toolbars, now you can just scroll through them with your mouse wheel. So that's really cool, instead of having to like reach up and mess with your keyboard. They've added a bunch of new sounds, new visual icons for dynamic hits. They've got a bunch of new like first person and third person animations. They say the jumping animation's a little rough at the moment. The debug gun's been updated, and paint gun as well. So yeah, you'll notice, and you kind of gotta like have played for a little while in the earlier version to catch a lot of these changes. They're so subtle. The big one though is the debug gun. It's a gun now, like it's an actual freaking it's a rifle or a pistol. It is. You go around and you can just shoot everything. Things blow apart. It's a lot of fun. And when they showed it on screen, that was the ultimate response. Is everybody's just like, gun, gun, gun. Like, yes, that is cool. But what was even cooler is that after they blew up some blocks, they turned around and started blowing up voxels. So voxels can be damaged by the gun, which was pretty awesome to see. In addition to that, voxel effects and destruction effects are a lot better than they were before. So, I mean, if you want to take your gun and blow the hole in the side of an asteroid, go for it. It looks good, and it sounds good. Shifted third-person view in the cockpit, cool. We can actually see our shadow now. So if you're in first person, you cast a shadow. So you are no longer just a spirit floating through space. There's a visual effect when blocks are removed. And inverse kinematics. I am so glad that they explained what that was, because it was on the list, but in the live stream, they kind of explained it, and they showed like an example of your engineer standing on the edge of a platform or a ramp, and one foot is on the ramp and one foot is on the flat and is actually like perfectly standing as it would, like a real life. And so there's still some work to be done with that, with the character modeling. But in Space Engineers, I mean, that was such a nightmare sometimes, how your little dude would float around and not even touch the ground at times, even though he was actually stuck to the ground. So it's cool to see that they've made, some changes with that. And then they removed variable refresh rate from display options and the quick start option from the main menu. It's probably going to be something later on put back in, but for right now, every world is the same that you load into unless it's empty. And well, they're all empty. Some of them just have, demo ships and everything. So there's not a, quick start is probably not something that's appropriate for the level in which the game is at this moment. So that's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of cool things that have come in this update. And, and I know that we had the workshop before and we've started getting some blocks, but it's updates like this that are going to set the foundation for the big stuff to come later. I mean, this update has already improved performance. It's an amazing improvement in the overall quality of how the game functions. Flying by the asteroids is so much smoother than it was before. And so, it's really nice to see that in addition to adding these features and tweaking things here and there, that we're getting a performance improvement. And I think it's funny that we get all these things and performance is just kind of like mentioned off to the side. I think the community manager was flying around in a ship and he's like, hey, did you notice this is running really a lot better than it was before? Yes, actually we did. And it's really cool. It's kind of weird you guys didn't mention that, but we will go with it. So, hey everybody, these are the Disciples. If you like the content that I create on this channel and you'd like to support, go to commanderexorcist.tv/support to pledge your support and become part of the team. I would love to have you on board. And my friends, that is going to be it for this update from the shipyards, from Exorcist Shipyards, as we take a look at Vertical Slice 1.2. I'm excited. I got to say that I'm going to power through the modding update, which is Vertical Slice 1.5. I'm not a big modder. I know that some people, that's like their life's blood. They live and breathe modding. Me personally, I'm not into that much. Definitely going to cover it as part of the whole expansion, but that seems to be the next big part, is modding. And they did say that when they do the modding update that we're going to get the exact same tools that Keen is using to build the game. So we're going to get the developer tools to be able to help create mods. And who knows, maybe I'll go out there and try and create my first mod. Maybe that'll be what changes my mind. I don't have anything against modding. It's just not something I was ever interested in. But it is going to be the next big thing in Vertical Slice 1.5 coming here in the next few months, and we'll see what happens. Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with me for this overview of Vertical Slice 1.2. If you haven't bought Space Engineers 2 and you're interested in getting involved in the development process, this is the time to do it, because I honestly think that things are just going to get better from here on out. Okay? All right, everybody. Take care. Fly safe, and I will see you out there.